Hello, good evening. Welcome to Business Live. My name is Darryl Kwao. Coming up tonight, Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta lays a paper before Parliament requesting 1.25 billion Ghana cedis from the contingency fund. We'll have a live update from Parliament in the course of this bulletin. Also tonight, Chamber of Consumers Ghana justifies decision to go to court over imposition of new levy on LPG. We'll hear from the Chief Executive. And how are tissue and paper manufacturers meeting demand amid the coronavirus pandemic? The Joy Business van tonight will be at Fon Limited. Great to have you as company. As always, my name is Darryl Kwao. Stay tuned for the details. Welcome back to Business Live. Before we get into the bulletin, we want to take you across the country and around the world for a summary of business news. Tonight, Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta has laid a paper before Parliament requesting for 1.25 billion Ghana cedis from the contingency fund. This is to support the coronavirus fight, which has so far claimed 6 lives and infected 313 people. The Finance Minister explained to MPs the money would also be used to support businesses affected by the pandemic.
The President directed the Minister for Finance to prepare for approval by Parliament a coronavirus alleviation program CAP to mitigate the disruption to economic activities and the hardship imposed on the people of Ghana by the coronavirus pandemic, and to rescue and revitalize our industries that have fallen prey to the pandemic. The President further stated that the Minister for Finance will immediately make available a minimum of 1 billion Ghana cedis to households and businesses, particularly micro, small, and medium enterprises, as part of the immediate issue. Mr. Speaker, thereafter, on 30th March 2020, the Minister for Finance delivered a statement on the economic impact of the COVID-19 on the economy of Ghana to Parliament. The Minister also placed before Parliament a proposal that sought parliamentary approval to lower the cap on the Ghana Stabilization Fund, GSF, from $300 million to $100 million, and to transfer the excess amount of $290 million over and above the newly proposed cap to the contingency fund to finance the coronavirus alleviation program. Mr. Speaker, I wish to express our profound gratitude to Parliament for working expeditiously to approve the proposal to lower the cap on the Ghana Stabilization Fund from $300 million to $100 million.
So that was the Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta addressing MPs earlier in the day. Well, the Speaker has referred the paper to the Finance Committee of Parliament, which has been meeting. Joseph Aboagye-Wiafe is our parliamentary correspondent. He joins me via the phone for the latest. So, Joseph, give us first of all a breakdown of what the 1.25 billion Ghana cedis will be used for. Hello, okay. Joseph, can you hear me?
Darryl, I can hear you.
Yes, so give us a breakdown of what the 1.25 billion Ghana cedis will be used for. Hi, Gakpo, can you hear me? We seem to be having...
Darryl, I can hear you.
All right, I can hear you, Gakpo. I just wanted a breakdown of what the 1.25 billion Ghana cedis will be used for based on what the Finance Minister said today.
And so, per the documents that's been submitted to Parliament, there are a number of items on the agenda in terms of what the House is hoping that what the Finance Minister is hoping to use this particular 1.2 billion for. First of all, there will be an amount of 600 million Ghana cedis, which will go to businesses in the form of soft loans, as well as micro, small, and medium businesses are concerned. So 600 million Ghana cedis is going into that. An amount of 2 million Ghana cedis will go into buses, the Ayalolo buses, to fund their operations in terms of providing transportation for healthcare workers during the lockdown period. Healthcare workers in the Tema, Kumasi, as well as Accra areas. That's 2 million Ghana cedis. an amount of 80 million Ghana cedis would go into the allowance of 50% of basic salary for all frontline health workers. Another amount of 241 million Ghana cedis will go into the tax waiver, as is being indicated that it would go to various health workers over a 3-month period. And then apart from that, 200 million Ghana cedis is going into provisions when it comes to water and sanitation. Another 40 million is going to the buffer stock company in order for them to help with getting more food to places that may not have it. And then a final 40 million Ghana cedis will be invested in food packages as well as hot meals for individuals who will be affected by the lockdown. And from the committee's deliberations and what we're gathering from the finance minister's request, with regards to the 600 million cedis that's going to small-scale businesses, we'll see a situation where it will go to them as loans. They would have 1 year as a grace period within which they would not pay, and then after the 1 year period, they would have 2 years to repay that loan that's actually going to them. And the modalities as to who will benefit from these amounts and all is something that we gather is still being discussed at the level of the finance.
Speak of the Finance Committee of Parliament, any word from them? As we understand, the Speaker has referred the paper to them.
They've been meeting all day, sometime around a little after 2 p.m., and the meeting just ended about 30 minutes ago from what we gather. The Finance Minister, Aboagye-Wiafe, was at that particular meeting himself. We gather that the committee, particularly those on the minority side, are making a number of recommendations to the Finance Minister. First of all, they're asking that the 241 million cedis, which we are being told is the amount for the tax waiver that will go to all healthcare professionals, the committee members are recommending that instead of government dedicating an amount to it, they should substitute the 241 million Ghana cedis and rather use that to subsidize electricity prices for Ghanaians generally. And then, instead of money being moved from the contingency fund, 241 million, to pay for the taxes, Parliament should go ahead and grant a separate tax waiver for these healthcare professionals. That is one of the recommendations that the committee is making to the Finance Minister.
All right, Gapo, final one. So where do we go from here? We are waiting word from the Finance Committee.
It's very much unclear. For those on the majority side, and Osei Mensah made that categorically clear that this approval can be given by the Finance Committee without recourse to Parliament generally. And we know Parliament has been suspended indefinitely. So what that would mean is that anything that the Finance Committee approves virtually stands as general approval. But for the minority leader is of the opinion that this is something that should necessarily go back to plenary for the possible approval, because the Constitution also requires that we should see supplementary estimates backing any such withdrawal from the contingency fund. It's unclear, and we will probably wait until when the Speaker decides to reconvene sitting on the floor for that clarity to be gotten. All
right, Joseph Opoku-Gakpo, parliamentary correspondent with the latest from there. We'll move on now. The Chief Executive of the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers Ghana, Duncan Amwa, has told Joy Business that the decision to seek legal redress on the imposition of a new levy on LPG is in the interest of the country. According to him, the imposition of the new levy is illegal as it has not been approved by Parliament nor the board of the NPA, a situation he describes as inappropriate. Duncan Amwa was speaking to Joy Business.
The arbitrariness to stop. We need the NPA becoming a different law unto themselves to stop. The NPA has not now become an overriding power, even against Parliament. The law in Act 174 of the 1992 Constitution is clear. You cannot impose a levy or a tax on Ghanaians without the approval by Parliament. The NPA cannot sit in its own offices and just write directives to oil companies and LPG companies and instruct them to be collecting new monies for whatever purposes and be calling it different names. And so we are praying the courts to ensure that the arbitrariness that the NPA is engaged in currently is brought to a halt.
You think it's inappropriate for them to do that?
The law that establishes NPA, Act 691, does not give them any mandate whatsoever to impose levies on Ghanaians. every single item on your price build-up, as far as petrol, diesel, LPG is concerned, is a function or something that came about from legislative, instruments. And so it becomes difficult to expect now that the NPA becomes a law that can impose new taxes or levies without even approval by the finance minister and parliament. If that arbitrariness is allowed to stand, the precedent that it is setting will be a dangerous one, such that tomorrow, if Kwame also becomes the new NPA chief executive, then whatever taxes he also wants to load onto your fuel is allowed to go. The next day, if I also become NPA chief executive and I also want some margins, that cannot be allowed to continue. That is why the law is clear in Act 174 that for you to legislate or get any taxes or levies from Ghanaians, go to Parliament. Let the people's representatives deliberate and approve. The NPA cannot override all these considerations and start authorizing that the oil companies should start collecting monies from all of us. That is completely illegal, and we intend to contest this so that the precedent they are setting does not continue.
An important development, as gas is an essential commodity in these days of a lockdown and the coronavirus pandemic. Now, speak of coronavirus, CEO of Cocoa Board, Aboagye-Wiafe, says the virus has left cocoa farmers in jeopardy. According to him, the spread of coronavirus has not just tumbled cocoa prices, but also significantly reduced purchase of cocoa from manufacturing companies. There is more in this report.
Cocoa prices fall on the world market amid COVID-19. CEO of Cocoa Board, Aboagye-Wiafe, fears payment of cocoa farmers will be a grave challenge. Already, Cocoa Board has revealed losing $1 billion in revenue as chances of securing the syndication loan for the 2020 and 2021 crop season remains on the balance. Aboagye-Wiafe regrets this will leave cocoa farmers shortchanged.
Every ton of cocoa coming from Ghana and Cote d'Ivoire, they were actually paying. But now that COVID had come, they are not even buying, let alone to pay the LID. Meanwhile, every farmer is looking forward, seeing LID on top of his or her producer price. So we are in serious trouble, actually.
Apologies for that. Well, one of the things people are stockpiling during this coronavirus pandemic is tissue papers. They're in high demand and hard to find on the shelves of supermarkets these days. But local producers are asking shoppers to stop the panic buying because they can supply. At least Phone Limited says it can. The Joy Business van is there today to learn more about what goes into producing paper and tissue products.
One of those busy days at Phone Limited. It has grown to become a leading manufacturer of tissue and paper products.
Phone Limited originally started as Phone Enterprise in 1984, Phone being the initials of our founder, Mr. Frederick Osafo-Ntim. It originally started as a paper trading business before we decided to courageously move into the business of value addition to the paper trading. This started in 2004 with our venture into the manufacture of toilet rolls, where we now have the largest capacity for toilet roll production in Ghana, if not West Africa.
I've come to meet William Boateng and team, 25-year-old manager of the family business, being handed over from one generation to the next.
Back when the company was founded, our founder was primarily dealing in paper trading. There was not much manufacturing and value addition going on in the country. In fact, we are more or less been growing with the manufacturing industry in Ghana. So over the past 35 years, we've been graduating and we are now on our 4th or 5th tissue production line here. So we've been ramping up as the industry needs have been increasing.
The need for tissue and paper products has indeed increased here in Ghana with a rising middle class. They are the target for Phone Limited. Tissue products, copy papers and exercise books. These are the main 3 lines of production. Phone Limited's flagship product has been Phone Tissue, which has been in existence for about 15 years. The manufacturing firm operates with huge investments in state-of-the-art machinery.
A lot of our machinery here is sourced from Europe, from the most reputable manufacturers in the globe. So the quality of product we get is comparable with any international standard you might find in Europe, America, Asia. And that's something we pride ourselves on. The basic premise, though, of toilet roll and essentially paper production is the conversion. We buy our jumbo rolls from sustainably sourced manufacturers across the globe, and we convert it into the finished product depending on what we need. Further down the line, of course, that whole jumbo sourcing process, we would like to bring it down into Ghana, but that's a conversation for the future.
The massive investment in production equipment appears to be paying off.
With our recent expansions and investments into tissue production, we now have the largest production capacity in Ghana, if not West Africa. Meaning we can cater to the entire population and even export. Wow. So now that is a main focus of our company, promoting our brands and then letting people get the message that they meet all international standards. Our products here, go ahead.
Made right here in Ghana.
Made right here in Ghana, 100%. We can supply the entire country and the entire West Africa.
That's just incredible, and the exciting part is that it is being done by an indigenous firm. Williams' work also entails managing the about 100 staff yards and ensuring production targets are met. I'm curious to find out, though, how Fon Limited has worked to remain in business despite industry challenges even after 35 years.
Was 100% funded with internally generated funds, which has required a lot of discipline on the part of our management to be able to make sure we can fund our own projects without having to run to a bank for assistance. So it's been a gradual process, and it's also required discipline in knowing how to deal with a lot of the workers and make sure everyone feels involved in the process, because if your workforce also believes in you, they deliver. This is a family business, and we also like to treat everyone on our team as if they are part of the family, because they are.
Although the advancement of technology poses great competition, the global paper industry continues to grow yearly worldwide. At the end of 2017, it exceeded $255 billion. Paper consumption in Ghana is also high. Fon Limited is one of the companies registered with not-for-profit organization Invest in Africa's African Partner Pool, a directory that allows African businesses to promote their products, making it easier for big companies to find the right suppliers.
So our relationship with Invest in Africa began through APP, which is the Africa Partner Pool. Through that, we were able to get in touch with other businesses that needed our products and services, and able to bid for tenders on their platform and able to satisfy those jobs accordingly. It's been a fruitful relationship. As time goes on, we would like to leverage some of the things they offer, particularly their capacity building expertise and also their talent pool.
But Fon Limited's vision is even bigger.
Well, the primary inputs of all we are essentially paper and tissue converters, meaning we are buying the jumbo rolls and converting them. Any ambitious group in the paper or tissue industry has the long-term goal of being able to make their own paper. So further down the line, we would definitely like to just invest in different parts of industry and eventually even go further down the line and integrate enough to be able to make the actual paper in Ghana.
Great stuff. And before we go, let's take you to Kumasi, where the central market is expected to reopen for trade tomorrow, Thursday, April 9, after traders agreed with city authorities on a shift system. This is to ensure traders at the market observe social distancing directives by government. It was agreed after leadership of the 67 trade associations of the market met with KMA leadership on Tuesday in the wake of the coronavirus pandemic. Prince Apia has more in this report.
The total number of traders that do business at the Kumasi Central Market on a daily, officials say, are 5,825. The market was closed to business because traders didn't keep the market clean and observe the social distancing directive.
It was 8 a.m. when the security came here and asked us to distance ourselves because we were selling too close to each other. So there was this lady who started exchanging with them, so they sacked all of us.
The red tape about the boha, you are not allowed until the 14 days.
After Tuesday's meeting between the leadership of the Traders Association, the KMA 11-member steering committee, and the Metro Security Council, traders will be divided into 3 groups and assigned colors: red, gold, and green, which means only about 1,950 traders dealing in all assorted commodities will be allowed to trade on each day. A unique identification card designed in the colors red, gold, and green will be given to the traders on Wednesday today for a smooth execution of the rotation system, without which traders cannot trade. In the face of the coronavirus threats, this initiative is expected to allow spaces within the market as the traders operate, as they observe the social distancing directive. Today, the market will be open for the leaders to formalize all the arrangements pertaining to the sheet system. Then on Thursday, 9th April, the market is expected to be open for business. Meanwhile, to ensure things go as planned, the Metro Security Council will collaborate with the traders to ensure that the traders comply with these agreements. KMA officials say if the traders defy these protocols, the market will be closed indefinitely this time. Prince Apia reporting.
And that's our program tonight. Thanks for watching.